all we're dealing with is, sensitive documents of customers that, again, I think to Alexander's point in the beginning, have to do with like the human communication and how are we communicating to this customer, how we're storing their data, how we're using and utilizing sort of security, first approach, to our architecture. But also on the AI side, we had to determine, are LLMs practical for our particular use case? Or do we have to use, what some people call more outdated architectures like BERT models, for example, to process all of that data as it pertains to consumption and cost. And for us, we determined that LLMs were way too expensive to run on GPUs to process, thousands and millions of pages of documents. And I think that's where a lot of companies are going to get to that point as they run their POCs with, some of the big consulting companies, and they realize how truly expensive. While there's a lot of good work that's being done, it's just not practical AI. And so I'm much more of an advocate for like what is practical cost-wise, consumption-wise, and for your customer, because a lot of the times they don't need as sophisticated technology as everybody wants them to need. Sometimes they just need things that are just getting the job done for their enterprise workflows.
Yeah, I think that's something we hadn't really touched on is the different kinds of AI and different use cases, and I definitely think that's a very valid question for every enterprise out there, and actually probably for lots of individuals as well. One thing that nobody's really spoken about yet, and maybe we don't have an opinion about it, maybe we don't have the right person in the audience, but I'm curious if anybody wants to jump in about data rights and something that has been huge over the last 20, 30 years in terms of social media, something that's been huge over the last 100 years in terms of intellectual property law.
And this actually also brings me to another point about the cost and the energy consumption when it comes to training those models as well. So I've been involved in the research part of both the hardware and the essentially models architecture perspective with even folks from Google. And what I'm seeing in here is the redundancies when it comes to not only storage of data, but also the hardware used to train the models, GPUs, and also the architecture of those models.